Welcome to week 7 of Old Testament Survey. In week 7, we're going to be looking at chapters 13 and 14 in our textbook, and this covers the Bible books of 1st and 2nd Samuel. 1st and 2nd Samuel are important books because it shows a transition period for the people of Israel. Up until this time, the people have been a theocracy, a nation that was ruled by God. And in 1 Samuel, we come to the point where the people are no longer satisfied with being ruled by judges that God raises up, and they begin calling out for a king so that they can be like all the other nations. It begins with the story of Samuel. Samuel is the last judge of the nation of Israel, and in chapter 1, we have the story of his birth and his commitment by his parents to the Lord. And then we have the story of him ruling over Israel and making a circuit, going around different cities in the course of a year, being judge over the people of Israel and giving rulings over different decisions that have to be made. And when we come to about chapter 8, we see the people beginning to become dissatisfied with leadership by a judge and begin asking Samuel, this last judge of Israel, to ask God to give them a king. And of course, Samuel is distraught over this because Samuel understands that God has ruled them well by raising up judges to lead them and guide them. And up until this point, they have done well under the leadership of the judges. And the people are just dissatisfied with that, and they cry out for a king. And God tells Samuel, they haven't rejected you, Samuel, they've rejected me as their king. And so God tells Samuel to give them what they ask. And so God raises up the first king, a man by the name of Saul. And Saul proves to be a disastrous king for the people of Israel. He disobeys God. And because of that, the kingdom is going to be taken from him and given to another man, which proves to be David. And Saul becomes so incensed with jealousy against David that he tries on several occasions to kill David. And God has made it clear. Samuel actually has told Saul that God has said that his kingdom would not last, but it was going to be taken and given to another man. David proves to be that man. And at the end of Saul's life, David becomes king over a divided kingdom, actually. And then after 7.5 years, the kingdom is united under David's rule. And David rules for 40 years. And then 2 Samuel picks up where 1 Samuel leaves off. And David is just rising to power as king, and he's ruling over this united kingdom. And God uses David in tremendous ways in military exploits and expanding the kingdom and establishing the kingdom. And so we see a great power of God, and we see the providential guidance of God. We see the sovereignty of God, the rule of God over the people of Israel, and the fact that God has his plans and purposes for the people, and he is going to fulfill those plans, and they're not going to be thwarted no matter what man may do, even though man does make bad decisions. And certainly Saul made bad decisions, and David came along and he made some very poor decisions as well. But the heart of David was after the heart of God. God actually testified to the fact that David was a man after God's own heart. And because of that, God promised David a kingdom that would never end, and that he would give him a throne on which he would always have a descendant. And of course, ultimately, the fulfillment of that promise is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is in the lineage of David, and he fulfills that ultimate promise that God gave to David, that he would give him a kingdom that would last forever and would always have a descendant on that throne. So these are two extremely important books in the scope of Old Testament history. I encourage you to read the text carefully, the textbook carefully. Give yourself diligently to the study questions and essay questions. And again, as I say every week, if you have any questions, any problems that I can be of help with, please don't hesitate to call on me, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. And if I don't hear from you, I'll look forward to seeing you again next week by way of video. God bless you in your studies.